We're on our last little part of the Indians here with the West. We have how they went settled, why they went there, the battles, etc. Now we're going to look at just some people and some last things, and you have it here for number 3, right? So we left off here with Little Bighorn, right? And you can imagine how this thing went. Now, a writer, here she is, Helen Hunt Jackson, produced a book about the California Indians. You ever heard of the California Indians? No, because they got wiped out. The book is called A Century of Dishonor, and you're going to read a little excerpt here later on. We actually have a bunch of words that we use from the Californians, among them California, Yosemite, grizzly, different words that we have used here. So basically in her book, she says that the U.S. government has treated the Indians wrong and basically should do something to make up for it, a century of dishonor. And so what happens next? Now, the idea, after we saw that we can't kill the Indians and it's going bad, the idea, and it came from a army general, was to kill the Indian but save the man. And this famous act became known as the Dawes Act. And so here we have the Dawes Act, correct? Now the Dawes Act provided for them to go back to the reservations, etc., but it also called for a $10 word here, assimilation. And we'll get assimilation here in a second. But as you can see, this is the same boy. The boy's name was Tom Trolino. And so Tom Trolino, being captured and going to the next place we're about to talk about, cut his hair, changed his clothes, got rid of the earrings, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so this, in essence, is assimilation. And so the Dawes Act provided for assimilation of the Indians and putting them on reservations, okay? Now, where did this take place? There was an old school, and here we have a lot of them, right? And it was called the Carlisle School. And the Carlisle School, as you can see, is basically making all of these former Indian children out to be perfectly good and well-groomed and well-mannered U.S. children. So the Carlisle School is where they taught assimilation to the children. Now you're asking, why the children and not the men? Well, children are an impressionable age. They can basically be taught anything. Think back when you're 2. I mean, somebody could fool you and teach you into believing anything. And so the children here could be molded, they could be fixed, and they could accomplish, as that man said, to, quote, kill the Indian, save the man. And so that was the Carlisle School. And so let's go ahead and let's talk about this for a second. Assimilation. What is assimilation and what's going on? Assimilation is where you try to become like someone else. Assimilation is not dead just because we're out of the Indian period. People do this all the time. You might see someone that you admire in school and the way that person dresses and different things, and you're going to start acting like that person. You're going to dress like them. You're going to talk like them. And you're going to go, no, I'm my own person. No, you're not. There's somebody you copy, whether it be a celebrity or whatever it is. And so assimilation is where you try to act, or in this case, you're forced to act like someone else. And so how the Indians think of that Tom Trolino. Now, the problem is, we took the Indian land once they went on the reservation, and look at this. Indian land for sale, right? Get a home of your own. Easy payments. Fine lands in the west, irrigable. Irrigable does not mean irritable. It means they could be watered, grazing, agricultural, dry farming, all these different things, right? And you could actually have the title of your home within 30 days. It's crazy. So many people took them up on this through the Homestead Act and different things like that, going west. So much so that a man named Frederick Jackson Turner, here he is, came out and gave something called the Turner Thesis. And so what did Frederick Jackson Turner say in the Turner Thesis? He said, the frontier has closed. Stop coming here. There's no more space. Stop it. We're going to lose a lot of history. And another president coming forward, Teddy Roosevelt, saw that as well, conservationists, and we'll get to that. So Frederick Jackson Turner issued the Turner Thesis, and he told people to stop coming west. He said the frontier had closed. We've got to do something else. And so going into the 1900s, that leads to going and taking other lands. That's called imperialism. That's a discussion for another day. Now, there is one last little bit of fight in the Indians, and that is called the ghost dance, okay? A Sioux Indian spiritual shaman, whatever you want to call him, his name was Wovoka. It's Wovoka. believed that by performing the ghost dance, the ghosts of their ancestors would provide for their lands to come back to them. Now, here are some Indians that are performing the ghost dance. This is the ooh that you accumulate. That's the ghost dance, okay? Problem with the ghost dance, it scared people, and they didn't understand how to take it, and they thought that they were trying some type of coup. So the U.S. Army ordered all the remaining Sioux tribe to go to a place in Wyoming called Wounded Knee. Now, this is the memorial Wounded Knee. It looks great, right? And at Wounded Knee, Sitting Bull is there, all these different people. And so they go in, they're going to arrest Sitting Bull here. He had a bodyguard by the name of Catch the Bear. I don't know if that changed once he caught the bear. Did he become Caught the Bear or still Catch the Bear? I don't know. Anyway, Catch the Bear stood up, and it's debatable through history who shot first. When it's all said and done, Sitting Bull is dead. And so Wounded Knee marks a tumultuous period of these different things. And so here's another view of Wounded Knee with different things. And this actually becomes occupied by the Indians in the 60s. That's a really cool story, and we'll get to that in the protest era. So what do you need for Wounded Knee? Wounded Knee ended the period that we call the Indian Wars. And that is basically going back to Sand Creek and the Bozeman Trail, all the things we've talked about here earlier on. Now, the last thing is there is one last chief we've got to talk about. He's not Sioux, but rather he belongs to a tribe called the Nez Perce, and he's actually related to me somehow through my father, and my father is Native American. And so Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce, they were basically trying to make it up to Canada. They wanted to get away. And they did make it to Canada, mind you. But Chief Joseph, upon hearing this thing about Sitting Bull, it issues this quote, and the last words there are the big ones. "Hear me, my chiefs, I am tired. My heart is sick and sad from where the sun now stands." And he said, "I will fight no more forever." That's the big part. And so he basically means he will do whatever you want. Now, why did he make it to Canada? Why was he wanting to go there? There actually was a period of time here. It was called the Trail of Tears, and it was where all basically Indians merged into one area of Oklahoma. See it here. And along the way, they cried, leaving their homes, different things like that. Chief Joseph didn't like it, and so he basically went from this area and decided to go to Canada. So the Trail of Tears was basically moving into the reservations, and so there we have that. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about in tomorrow's stuff is once these farmers got there, the Indians are gone, how did they go about things? And that leads to populism, okay?